Hi, and welcome to today's video, how we can easily start with model-driven apps in the Power Apps and build one easy application for absence requests. So we're building some application where employees could request their absence and their manager to have to get the approval process in the back. So previously, uh, without introduction to copilots and agents and generally AI, you needed to start from building the data logic. But now the life is much easier and we can start with a copilot which is getting really much better. But let me show it and then you will see how easy it could be and how in reality you can build fast applications and not only Canvas but in reality the model driven apps. So, first of all, the place where you need to go to start is to Power Apps Editor homepage. So from here, we will navigate to create and what I will say, I will start with the copilot. And now the first thing which you will see is that you have possibility to describe what do you want to create. So I already have some prompt pre-created for myself, but in reality what I'm saying, I want to create an application to manage absence in the company. My app has to have a list of employees, managers who approve the absence, and the possibility to employees to request their absence. So in reality it is fairly easy prompt and what I'm expecting to get is the three tables. So what I will do now, I will just select generate and I will leave Copilot to do its job. He will process this little bit and after processing you will see what we are going to get. And this is only not for some small applications like this one, but in reality you can see that in this way of building you will have much more flexibility and probably better of understanding of your data model. So what we are getting here immediately, you're seeing that we have managers here, we have employees, and we have absence request. So, in reality, what we are getting from here? We are getting the list of all employees. From here on, you can see one thing that we can click on employees and we can say view data. So, Copilot is now giving us some bulk data on the beginning. It is demo data which he has created, but it is really good thing to see what we're expecting to have here. Also, on the other side, we have managers, also with only manager name and department, and here we have the absence request. So from here we are seeing all requests which have been created. What you can easily see is that on employees we have employee name and department. On the manager we have manager name and department, but on the absence request we have absence request, employee which is lookup, manager which is lookup, request and request date. What we are seeing here is that probably we can have something a little bit different. For example, request date is only the date when we are just requesting. So what we can do here is, for example, delete this column and easily we can say that we need new column which is named start date, and we will say that this is date and time and we need date only. And of course it is required because this is the main purpose of this application. Also, what we can add here, we can create a new column and say end date. Again, we will do exactly the same, date only, and of course it is required. We have to know when somebody is coming back. Of course, here we're saying that we have to select the manager, but in reality, what is the thing? We have to push our employees to select their manager all the time. And this is pretty fine. It is easy up. If you want to make it fairly easy, this is really good option. But what we're in reality missing here on this place, if we just lower down, we are not having direct relationship, let's move it like this, in between managers and employees. So we are basically missing this relationship. So what we can do here, we can select employees And we can again say view data, and let's add one new column. In this case, we want to do the lookup to the managers. So here it is, and we will say manager. So we can save it, and now what we're seeing is that we have double relationships. So if we want to do it like this is fairly fine enough, but what also you can think about it. If you want to have some approval process, so not only to manager has to go to the model driven app and then manually to click it without any notifications. So we're thinking a perspective that managers do not have to check their application every day or a couple of times per day. We need something a little bit more sophisticated. So we need to send the manager email or Teams notification whenever somebody creates absence requests, so that they can easily accept it or reject it. Of course, this thing is the best to be done with Power Automate. So if we now implement the Power Automate, having the manager information here on the absence request, it is really good, because then we will not have to search the manager name every time when whenever some employee requests for the absence. But if you want to make it a little bit more sophisticated, you can remove this manager name and then to work on a level of searching manager and then to send the approval request to the manager. It is, again, really easy Power Automate, but let's not overcomplicate it, but it is generally easy. Of course, what is great about here, you're seeing all relationships. You have possibility in reality to know where which part of the application is connected. Whenever you add new table, you can do it directly from here with the Copilot or with standard adding the column. So whole business logic of the application is viewable through this editor. So this is what new builders are really bringing, is that it makes life easier and generally faster. And of course, when you finish describing and setting up the processes, all you have to do is just come here, decide which application do you want, Canvas or model driven. We will of course select model driven because this is our focus currently. And all we have to do is to click on save and open the app. So now we have to wait a little bit for the system to really create this model driven app and to build it. But this is going to last really shortly, because our app is only built out of 3 tables, and then I will show you how you can automate this process even nicer to really select the relevant manager to get the approval. Of course, you're seeing here that probably we are missing some informations like manager's email, which will help us, but of course I will show you how to add these extra things which are necessary to be created so that your process could be much easier built. So now what we have here, we have necessity to name this app. So what I will say, absence request app. Of course you can add some description, but it is not necessary. Let's just click create. And the building will be last for a couple of seconds more. And now the application is in loading process. So what we're getting here, now we will really fastly get the look of the UI of the application, which is standard model driven application. We can see what is happening when we click on different places. So here we have the view for the employees, the view of the managers, here it is, and here we have the absence requests which are in the application generated. So what I'm seeing here, as I told you already, we are getting one issue, is that we're missing the email of the manager. So let's fastly go and edit this table and add this field. So what you can do from here is from a couple of different ways. You can click on edit and now edit form, and we can easily add the new table column. This is really good way when you have to add one field and you're in the end of building the model driven application. And we will just say email. We will search for email type of the field. We will just save it. And also, what are you getting here is not only that we have standardly created the form, you will also get the possibility to see the form editor. So you have possibility to enter every single of these forms and to edit it what you really want to present out of data. And now you will see how easily is to add the fields. So now just we have to wait for this email field to be saved. And after it is saved, you will have easy drag and drop you will have to perform easy drag and drop and just to implement this field. And here it is after a couple of seconds. You can just take this email field and drag and drop it here, and you're seeing that email has been added. What you have to do now is to click on save and publish to really publish this form. And we will just say, because he's asking us, do we want to overwrite if there is something in between? We will just say yes, because we are the only one who are developing currently, and we will easily just save this form. After the whole form has been saved, let's click back and let's return to the model-driven editor. So here you will see that now if we go, for example, to our managers and let's go to the employees and managers. Okay, he needs time to reload this form, but after publishing, the email field should be presented. And of course refreshing, because sometimes it can get in a stuck so that he is not presenting the live changes of the fields. So let's give him some time. And here it is, email. What I'm going to do now is also, I will show you one more thing. You see here we have only listed the department and manager. So this is basically the view in the model-driven application, and we also have built email field. So let's click on a pen and add this email field. So again, we already have the field. Just doing drag and drop editor, and here easily we can add this field, and of course clicking save and publish. And we did some slight customization. So we added one extra field. We have added this field to the form. We added this field to the view. Of course, when we are talking about more complex application, you will probably have multiple forms, multiple views, depending on what you need, much more bigger list of the tables. But all of these things are generally done per request. So whenever you have to do something. Of course, here we have the group 1 and everything is under it. So what you can do also, you can rename this group. And to do it, you just have to select the group 1 and we will click here and expand it. And when you have title here, you just say absence, for example. Just click on it and you see here that now group is nicely named. So for now, what I will do, we have one manager, for example, Frank. We will give this Frank our system admin email because this is demo environment, and then we will say that this Frank is Alice's manager. And then I will show you how to build one small Power Automate so that we can make this application even more sophisticated. But first of all, let's save this up and let's publish it. And when it is done, Let's go out and let's build Power Automate and then let's work with the data. So we have saved, we have published our application, and we can continue with the following process, how to make this application sophisticated. Let's go back, and now let's go to the flows. Now when the flows are loaded, we will immediately start with building one new cloud flow from scratch. Automated cloud flow, so we will say absence approval, and what we are going to search, Dataverse, when a row is added, modified, or deleted. So this is basically the trigger which we need to use in this specific use case. And now what we are seeing here. So we need when this flow is triggered. So we'll say only when the record is added. Which table? So we are going to take a look on the request. So here it is, absence request, and the scope we want to be on a full organization. So whenever somebody do it, we want to be errand. After that, what we want to do? We want to check our manager email. So what we want to do here is basically to say we need to list our rows, and our row which we want to list is manager. So managers are here, and what we want to say is that we need email from this based on our manager which is selected in the request which we have. So what we are going to say, we have to say that we want to filter the manager which has exactly the same email, the same name, sorry. So what we're going to say, let's search a little bit down. So manager equal to the manager. So now what we can check, if you go to the table of the managers, you will see that our manager name which we are taking a look, so we are checking this equality, is called the manager name, and the schema name is manager name with prefix. So what we have added here is this schema name equal and to the manager name, and we have to add up in front puncture points. And so we are saying that this is going to be equality with value. So now what is going to happen? We are going to change to find this exact manager by the data which we have. So maybe some reality we can do it a little bit more sophisticated with better checkings, but here it is, we are working with a small amount of data, and this is probably the easiest way. So now what we're going to add is the new step, and this new step is going to be approval. So we are going to say standard approval, and we want to start and wait for approval. So approval type is going to be approve, reject, first to response, or everybody must approve. So basically what we are going to say is just first to respond, and then after this you will see we will get one title, so absence request by employee, and let's search employee value, and then we are going to assign it to email from the list rows. And then what we're going to want to do on the next step is basically we want to run back to the first approval stage from the trigger stage and to update the value. So what we have to do now is to search update row, and now we have to say from which table. So we want to say from the absence request, and to just say which really row we have to go to the when row is added, modified or deleted. So we are looking for this trigger table, and we want to really specify it for this absence request value. So you see here unique identifier for entry. So we want to select that one, and what we are going to do now is that we are going to just change status, and status has to be something what was selected from the approval. So when we go to the approval, we have to set up the status. But of course, what we are going to add to this status, as we are still not have catched what was the answer. So before that, we have to add one new branch, and we will say control, and we want to get here again branching. So we will say update row here, and to choose the value. So the value has to be from the previous connection, so from the approval. So we will say if the respond here it is, response is equal to 1, which means yes, then we are going to if yes, and we will say this status is approved. Of course, what we can do here to make our life even easier, just say to copy to my clipboard, add a new action, and we can select from my clipboard, and when we select this one, it should copy all previous statuses and everything what we have set it. So you can see here that we have everything, and we will just now say that status is declined if it is no. So from now we can basically save this Power Automate and jump to the application. So now let's navigate ourselves to the apps. And now we have our absence request application, but just take care, not click here on the link, click on a play button, because you have system admin rights, so these rights can make your life a little bit harder. And let's find our Power Automate we have just created, because I have too many of them. Here it is going to be a bit harder to find it, so let me find it now. So let's go to the app. What we're going to say here is, as I told you, for the Frank, we will give him an email of my system admin user, and we will save and close. And of course, for the employee Alice, we will have to add her manager later on. So now let's go to the absence, and let's create new request. request 1. And of course, what we're seeing here, one thing, is that we're missing some data. So let me show you third way how you can add the new fields on the form. So here we are. Let's go to the, again, to the Power Apps, to all tables. And let's expand this to all and say here, absence. Let's search. So here it is, absence request. Let's go to the form and let's check why we are not having the values here. So what we have to add, or just to save and refresh, just be cautious, this is demo environment where I am working, so sometimes some things could not present immediately. So let's wait for this form to be loaded. So the form is loaded, we will just select save and publish, and let's check how the data is going to be, how the fields are going to be presented. And after this, let's try to do one more entry. And let's do it once again. So what we're going to do now, again, now the data is synchronized. We will say request 002, employee is Alice, manager we said that we are going to use Frank, start date for example 17th and date 24, and we will just say save and close. So what's gonna happen now? So we have here request pending. We can remove this one with no right data. Let's just have it clean. So we are watching on a status. And what is happening here? Let's go to Teams, and you're seeing that we're receiving Teams notification where we can approve or reject. On the other side, if we go to our Power Automate, let me show it. So we will go to this execution. We are seeing that we have correctly catched when the record is created. We have listed the right person for the manager, and we are waiting for condition to be executed. Now let's say approve, and we are having the list of all approvals here as a manager. Let me just refresh this stage. You're seeing approved, and if we go to the Power Automate, you're seeing that we have successfully updated the record. So in reality, this is really small use case, but you're seeing that logic of building the application is now a bit different, where you can start with a Copilot and build the data logic with a Copilot, and then understand your data connection in your business processes much better. On the other side, when you go back here, you can see that again you have possibility as always to add the forms, the views, to edit the data, to add more columns, to edit a little bit more. So there is multiple options how you can work with model-driven applications. But as the improvement, this one, new one, is the great. And it makes life much easier and generally the process of building model-driven application faster. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.